With the MLB season just around the corner, I wanted to go ahead and give you guys my bold predictions, my hot takes for the 2025 MLB season, specifically one of them about every single team. Normally, I'm reacting to your guys' hot takes. Today, you get to react to mine, so let me know in the comment section down below which ones you agree with, which ones you disagree with, and go ahead and throw your own because you know buy or sell is coming soon. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So much baseball content coming at you. Click that subscribe button if it's red. You're not subbed, you're not going to get my videos. Click that sub button, join the team. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, SeatGeek. Opening day is less than a week away, which means there are a ton of baseball games that you can buy tickets to right now on SeatGeek. And maybe baseball isn't your thing. There are tons of basketball games, football games coming up, hockey, there's concerts, there's festivals, and so many more other events you can buy tickets to through SeatGeek. I'm looking at the Mets home opener against the Blue Jays in April. I want to get tickets. I want to be at that game. SeatGeek takes tickets from all across the web and puts them in one place to make sure that you get the best deal possible. And my favorite thing about SeatGeek is their SeatGeek score. They'll rate every ticket on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 or those green circles means that that's a good deal. You should buy those tickets as soon as you can. If you see tickets with a score closer to 1 or a red or orange circle, that means those aren't the best tickets. You should probably avoid those. But don't worry, like I told you, I've got the hookup as I always do. You can use my code GiraffeNeckMarc for 10% off your next purchase at SeatGeek. It does not have to be a first-time buy. That's code GiraffeNeckMarc for 10% off your next purchase at SeatGeek. Not everybody gets this code, so you definitely are going to want to use mine. So click the link in the description to download the SeatGeek app right now and save my code GiraffeNeckMarc for 10% off any purchase on SeatGeek. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to it. All right, let's get it started off in the American League East. And with the New York Yankees, my bold prediction for them is going to be Jazz Chisholm has a 30-30 season. This one depends on who you ask. If you ask someone like me, I think this is actually super possible for Jazz Chisholm to do. But I think if you ask a lot of the baseball world, even baseball Twitter, they don't see Jazz Chisholm as this player. But here's the problem, is that Jazz Chisholm is so dang good, especially when he made the move to the New York Yankees last year at the trade deadline. Jazz absolutely went off. In a small sample size, he put up crazy good numbers, and I feel like just in that stadium, in that lineup, with Aaron Judge on that team, in a winning environment, Jazz Chisholm is able to thrive. He's one of the most exciting players in the game when he's healthy. That's going to be the biggest thing for me. He needs to stay healthy for a full season if he wants to hit 30 homers and steal 30 bases. But we saw him hit about like 24, 25 home runs last year. I think he stole close to 40 bases. The stolen bases feels like it's going to be the easy part. It's just going to be whether or not Jazz is able to tap into that power. I might even go crazier. 35-35. I don't think he could do 40-40. That's crazy. But 30-30 for Jazz Chisholm is my bold prediction for the Yankees. I think it's actually doable. Next up, the Baltimore Orioles. And I had to think kind of hard about this one. This is a very bizarre team. Like, I think they're good, but they definitely have some weird things going on. And I think it's going to be even weirder. We didn't see them really make almost any aggressive move this offseason. And I think they go this entire year doing the same. My bold prediction is that they don't trade any of their young prospects again. You might see them trade off maybe a Cedric Mullins. You might see them trade off one of their guys at the major league level. But I don't think the names of like Sam Basayo, Kobe Mayo, Enrique Bradfield, Vance Honeycutt, like I just don't think any of those guys get moved to go and get a better player. The front office has been super weird for the Orioles. They don't want to spend money, even though the owner, when he's bought the team, said that he wanted to spend. He's one of the richest owners in baseball. They're in such a prime position to make a jump and really take over this American League East, but yet they keep sitting on their hands. They keep waiting, and I think they wait one more offseason in order to start moving some significant pieces. But right now, I think the Orioles just kind of stand pat, and they hold on to all their guys, which is crazy to me because I think they need to start making some moves, but I think they like Kobe Mayo a lot. I think they like Samuel Basayo a lot. Those guys just don't seem like they're going to be moved. My bold prediction for the Boston Red Sox is a banger, and I think Red Sox fans will be super excited. I think Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, and Christian Campbell will all be starting players every single day for the Boston Red Sox by the month of June. Roman Anthony needs to come up as soon as possible. That guy's absolutely disgusting. I mean, he could win Rookie of the Year. He is so ridiculously good. Did you see that home run he hit the other night in the spring breakout game? The power is legit. He can play center field. I think it's time for the Red Sox to bring this guy up, especially like when you have Ceddanne Rafaela starting every day right now in center field. It just doesn't really make sense if you want to win the most games possible. Roman Anthony helps you do that. I just think he is going to be an all-star type player for the majority of his career. Christian Campbell, they seemingly want to do anything possible to bring this guy up. He's going to play second base. He can even play a little bit of outfield if needed. He has really, really good bat-to-ball skills, and while the spring training numbers haven't been great, I'm confident he's going to be able to turn around. There's a ton of pressure on him right now to kind of win that spot, even though I think he might already have it. He's way too talented to be as bad as he's been in spring training. And then one of my guys who I've been super high on for a while, Marcelo Meyer, former first-round pick back in the 2001 MLB draft. He has been amazing this spring. The swing looks fantastic. I think he can become an everyday shortstop. Trevor Story, the clock's ticking. The clock's ticking on Trevor Story. I know they have him to a contract here, but if he doesn't start to play better or stay healthy, Marcelo Meyer has a real shot to go in, take over that shortstop position, and become a cornerstone piece of this franchise. He is incredibly good. I'm super high on Marcelo Meyer. I know it's taken a little bit longer than people had hoped, but the guy just turned 22 in December. He's still incredibly young. I think that they could all be starting by June. For the Toronto Blue Jays, it's plain and simple. I think they not only trade Vlad Jr., but they also trade Bo Bichette, and they might honestly start to trade anybody who's on an expiring contract. But for the bold prediction, it's Vlad Guerrero and Bo Bichette. Do not end the season on the Toronto Blue Jays. Vlad's already talked about how much money he wants this offseason. The Blue Jays have not been able to match him. He wants $500 million. Doesn't seem like they're going to give him $500 million. And if the Blue Jays get off to a slow start, which I think is super possible with their team and the injuries and the pitching, they have no reason to keep Vlad Jr. Even if they want to give him all that money in the offseason, it's probably best for them to trade both Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette. You're going to get a bunch of prospects back. These guys are good baseball players. The Blue Jays farm system is terrible. It's one of the worst in baseball. This is a way to help the rebuild while also being able to maybe get better in the future. You can bring these guys back if you really want them that badly. We know they've got the money. Start spending it. Go after these guys, but you should trade him first. And then for the Tampa Bay Rays, I think Junior Caminero is going to be the starting third baseman in the All-Star game for the American League. I feel like this is an incredibly bold prediction. There are a lot of good third basemen in the American League. You've got Rafael Devers if he's going to play third. If not, you've got Alex Bregman. You've got Jordan Westburg. You've got Jose Ramirez. I mean, there are some really, really good third basemen. A couple that I didn't even mention. Josh Young, I think, is really good too. But I think there's a world where Junior Caminero, especially because I don't know how many All-Star representatives the Rays are really going to get. If he gets off to a hot start, we know he has crazy, crazy power potential. I think there's a world where he is going to take Major League Baseball by storm this season. He's a young, talented player. He's got the bat flips. We saw it in the Dominican Winter League. It was amazing. I think Junior Caminero could definitely pop off this year and become the starting third baseman in the All-Star game. Moving on over to the AL Central. You guys are going to see this in my predictions video probably a little bit later, but for the White Sox, Sean Burke, I think, could win the Rookie of the Year. It's an extremely small sample, but last year we saw him throw 19 innings. He struck out 22 batters, had a 1.4 ERA, a whip at 1. He has incredible extension. He's 6'6". He throws in the mid-90s, has 5 different pitches that he throws, including a sinker now. The K rate was near 30%. He got a ton of whiffs. There's not a lot of things to be excited about in Chicago with the White Sox, but I think Sean Burke could pleasantly surprise a lot of people. And right now, his Rookie of the Year odds are insane, and I think he might be the best pitcher on that staff. So I'd take a look at Sean Burke. For the Minnesota Twins, I had to take one guy out of this because Royce Lewis is already injured, because that's just what happens with the Twins and their great players. But I think both Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton play 130 games each this season. If they do that, the Twins are going to run away with the American League Central. Carlos Correa last year, in his small sample of games, played about 80 games, had an unbelievable year. Like, these numbers, I don't feel like people are talking about how good he was in that smaller sample. Correa last year in 86 games, 14 homers, 20 doubles, 54 RBIs, 310, 388, 517, 905 OPS for an OPS plus at 152. And we know he plays great defense. Buxton also kind of casually finished the season amazing, only played in 102 games, 18 homers, 27 doubles, 56 RBIs, a 279 average, 335 on base, 524 slugging, 859 OPS. It's a major catch-22 because when Byron Buxton plays the outfield, he's much better at the plate, but then you run risk of more injury. If these two guys are healthy, the Twins are the best team in the Central. It's not even close. As for the Cleveland Guardians, my bold prediction is going to be that Gavin Williams gets some legit Cy Young hype this season. I've been super all in on him. I had him in my breakout pitcher video. His stuff has looked incredible this spring. The fastball's got crazy life. The slider looks really good. He's another one of these super tall freaks. He's 6'6". The extension is absolutely elite. And again, when you throw 4 different pitches with maybe even a 5th thrown in there, it's really, really difficult to barrel up and understand what these guys are doing, especially when the stuff like Gavin Williams has is that good. So I think he could be a top 10 Cy Young vote finisher. I'm really expecting him to have an awesome year for Cleveland. Keeping it pitching themed, next up I've got the Detroit Tigers, and my bold prediction is going to be Jackson Jobe has the lowest ERA out of all the starting pitchers in that rotation. Yes, that includes Tarek Skubal. Again, these are bold predictions, but did you see what Jackson Jobe was able to do this spring? His whip was under 1. He absolutely dominated Vlad Guerrero Jr. with fastballs up in the zone. Like, the stuff that Jackson Jobe has is absolutely elite. electric. The fastball jumps out of his hand. The slider might be the best slider out of all of starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. The movement is disgusting. And you want to talk about some dogs, some aura? Jackson Jobe's absolutely got it. Throw that in with a really nice cutter and a changeup. I mean, Jackson Jobe has the potential to be one of the 30, 25 best pitchers in Major League Baseball by the end of the year, and I think he could have the lowest ERA on the staff. And for the final team of the AL Central, we have the Kansas City Royals, and my bold prediction for them is Jack Caglione is up before the month of May. Of course, spring training stats don't really necessarily matter that much. They don't prove that you're going to be a good player at the major league level during the big games. But Jack Caglione had 22 plate appearances in spring this year, 3 homers, 3 doubles, a .529 batting average, 636 on base, 1235 slugging, and an 1872 OPS. Those numbers make your eyes pop out of your head, and the exit velos were insane. And he walked more than he struck out, which is amazing for Jack Caglione. Not to mention, this Royals offense stinks. It's terrible. That lineup is terrible. He'll come into this lineup and legitimately be, what, the 3rd best hitter on this team immediately? I think the Royals start to feel a little bit pressure, maybe due to a cold start. Jack Caglione tears up the minors instantly, and he comes up before the month of May. Has a chance to win the Rookie of the Year. He's that good. And for the final division in the American League, we have the AL West, and getting it started with the Oakland A's. My bold prediction is straight up, they win the American League West. There is a world, there is a path where the A's win the American League West. Here's how. The Rangers are great. Their lineup's amazing, but they do have a lot of injury concerns, especially on the pitching side. Maybe that becomes a problem. The Astros are literally one Yordan Alvarez injury away, which happens every single year, to having a horrendous lineup. I don't know how they'll score runs without him. They can't afford anything to go wrong. Not to mention their pitching. There's really only 2 good pitchers. Everybody else still has to prove themselves. I'm so down on the Astros. The Angels stink. The Mariners have no dog. They have 0 offense besides Julio Rodriguez and Randy Arozarena. And Cal Raleigh, can't forget Big Dumper. What if the A's offense with Lawrence Butler and Brent Rooker and Jacob Wilson and Zach Geloff and Soderstrom and JJ Bleday, what if they pop off Shea Langeliers? Apparently, the air is extremely thin at the stadium they play in Sacramento, and it gets wildly hot during the season, especially in the summer. It gets like 102, 103 in the Valley area that they're in. The balls might be flying, and with the additions of Luis Severino and Jeffrey Spinks to their rotation, along with guys like Osvaldo Bido, whose stuff I like, I don't think they're that far off. Again, this is a bold prediction. It's not likely to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if the A's do something crazy this year and compete for the AL West. Kind of piggybacking off of this, for the Houston Astros, my bold prediction is they finish in 4th place. The dynasty is over. You start to look around at this Astros team and you're like, oh wow, this is not how I remember it. No more Springer, no more Kyle Tucker, no more Correa, no more Alex Bregman. It's Jose Altuve. It's Yordan Alvarez. Those are really the only guys left from the dynasty on the offensive side that matter, obviously, like Chas McCormick and Jake Myers. Who cares? Christian Walker is good. Yainer Diaz is good. But you look around this team, and all of a sudden, it doesn't feel as strong as it once was. And Isaac Paredes is solid, too. I just got a bad feeling in my stomach this year that the Astros are just going to struggle, which is probably why they'll do great. But you look at that team, and you go like, where did all my friends go? What happened to this team? Again, bold prediction, but I think they could finish in 4th. For the Los Angeles Angels, I'm not going to do a crazy one like they might make the playoffs, because I just don't think they will. I don't think they can. I don't think they're good enough. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and say that Mike Trout and Jorge Soler combined for the most home runs by a duo in Major League Baseball. I want to see a healthy season from Mike Trout. Even if he plays 120 games, that's incredibly massive for the Angels, and honestly, he'll probably hit 40 home runs in those 120 games. He's that good. Everyone has forgotten how good Mike Trout is. I saw Bleacher Report put out their top right fielders in baseball, and Mike Trout was 9th? 9th? Are we smoking crack? If you want to talk about value, he could be one of the best value players in baseball. The problem is being on the field. But when he plays, he's disgustingly good. And Jorge Soler just continues to mash. Always hits a ton of home runs. I like this one a lot. For the Seattle Mariners, my bold prediction's obviously going to be on the pitching side. And I've got 4 of their pitchers finishing in the top 10 of Cy Young voting. Now, George Kirby, we're not necessarily sure how many innings he's going to throw just yet. Still dealing with that injury. But he's a guy who could easily be a top 10 Cy Young if he's healthy this year. Luis Castillo can do it. Bryce Miller can do it. Brian Wu can do it. Logan Gilbert. They have 5 of what? The 20 best pitchers in Major League Baseball? And maybe 5 of the 10 on paper best pitchers in the American League? I don't know if this has ever happened before. I don't know if it's realistic. But with how good their pitching is, I think that this is a super, super fun bold prediction that 4 of their starting pitchers finish in the top 10 of Cy Young vote. And then for the last team in the American League and the AL West, the Texas Rangers, I think they break the Major League Baseball record for most home runs in a season at 307. I believe the Twins and the Braves are the teams that have tied it. The Twins got in 2019, the Braves got in 2022. I think this Rangers lineup could be one of the best lineups in all of Major League Baseball. It genuinely, top to bottom, might be the deepest lineup in Major League Baseball. It's hard to beat the Dodgers, but in terms of hitting home runs, this lineup has serious home run potential. Marcus Semien, you're probably going to to get 20 home runs out of him. Corey Seager, you could get 30 home runs. Wyatt Langford, you could get 30 home runs. Jock Peterson, you could get 20 to 30 home runs out of him. Adolis Garcia, you could get 30 home runs. We saw it just a couple of years ago. Josh Young, I think, is a 20 to 30 home run guy. The power's really good. Evan Carter's going to be a little bit less. That's fine. You can't have everybody there. Jake Berger hit like 30 plus home runs last year. He's got serious pop. Jonah Heim, 15 to 20 homers from the catcher position, along with Higashioka, who hits home runs. I think that they break the Major League home run record as a team. I love this one a lot. American League done. Let's move on over to the National League, and I'm going to start off on the National League West. I'm going to do it backwards now. For the San Diego Padres, we know this team loves to be unbelievably aggressive with their prospects, and I almost did it for Leo Dallas DeVries, but that's just absolutely ridiculous. So instead, I'm going to say that Ethan Salas makes his Major League debut. There is a path to the majors for Ethan Salas this year if he plays well. Again, Ethan Salas, one of the best young prospects in Major League Baseball, just straight up one of the best prospects in the entire minor league system. As of right now, he's 18 years old. He turns 19 on June 1st. I don't expect it before he turns 19, but I think once he turns 19, if he plays well in Double-A, which he was at the Double-A level in 2023, we saw him at High A in 2024. You hear Padres players talking positively about him. You hear town evaluators and scouts talking positively about him. They have no depth at catching. They have nobody good at that position for the Padres. If Salas balls out at Double-A this year, he's an injury away from making it to the major leagues. And I think that if he plays really well, the Padres are going to fast track him like they do with all their guys, and he'll make his debut at 19 years old this season. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, this is the only one that's necessarily negative, but if you listen to me, it's not going to be. Shohei Ohtani does not throw a single pitch this season, and it's not because he can't. It's because they don't need him to. Give Shohei another year to rehab, get his arm healthy, focus on hitting. He didn't pitch last year, and the Dodgers won the World Series pretty easily. There is absolutely no reason to rush Shohei Ohtani back to the pitching side because he is that good of a hitter. He is that valuable to the team that he is way more valuable just being a DH than ever throwing a pitch again this season. And by the way, he's still not ready for opening day to be able to be a pitcher. And I said this in my rankings video, until he throws a pitch, I'm not believing that he's throwing one this year. They have so many arms, so many good arms. There is literally no reason for Shohei Ohtani to pitch this year. If he does, maybe in the postseason, give him another full year. Let him rest. Let him get healthy. Don't rush Ohtani back to pitching. As cool as it is, it's much cooler to win. So my bold prediction is he doesn't throw a single pitch this year. For the San Francisco Giants, my bold prediction is going to be that Justin Verlander, like a fine wine, only gets better with age, has the lowest ERA on this entire staff. I was going to make a crazy push that Justin Verlander wins 20 games, but I just don't see that happening. I don't know how many sheer innings he's going to be able to give you, but I think at like 140, 150, there's a really good chance he could have the lowest ERA on the staff. One of my favorite things to look at, of course, is going to be stuff plus and location plus. And last year, Justin Verlander's stuff was still really good. His slider was elite last year, 126 stuff plus. His changeup, his curveball, 116 stuff plus. His location was the issue. His fastball was even league average. He's not done yet. He just needs to have more command, and dealing with injuries like he has the last few years, it makes sense. But he looks healthy. He looks great in spring training. I expect Justin Verlander to have a really nice season in a very, very pitcher-friendly park out in San Francisco. And if he wins like 15 to 20 games this year, which I think could be possible, you might see Verlander back, and he might be the last 300-game winner, because right now, Verlander is 38 wins off. He's 42 years old. It's going to be crazy. But if he wins 15 games this year, this guy's going to stick around until he wins 300. There's no doubt about it. My bold prediction for the Colorado Rockies, simply, they don't finish in last place. I don't know who will finish behind them, but my bold prediction is they don't finish in last. The thing that makes this incredibly bold is that this team's not very good, especially on the pitching side. The pitching is just absolutely horrible, but maybe you give Chase Dollander a look this year. He's been amazing in spring, and the offense has a lot of really, really fun players. Like Brendan Doyle's been great. Ezekiel Tovar is awesome. Chris Bryant looks healthy. Michael Toglia, Nolan Jones is due for a bounce back. Jordan Beck. They have a bunch of young prospects like Zach Veen who are going to get a shot this year, and I low-key love a lot of their bullpen arms. Seth Halverson, you know I got to mention him. Seth Halverson, he's the dog. I don't know. This one's probably one of the least likely to happen, but maybe they don't finish in last place. I'm going to be watching a lot of Rockies baseball this year. I keep saying it, but I really am. And then for the last team in the National League West, the Arizona Diamondbacks, my bold prediction for them is going to be that they trade for Luis Robert Jr. The Diamondbacks have some players that I think the White Sox could be very, very interested in. Now, I don't think that they should trade Jordan Lawler, and I don't think that they will. This is why it's a bold prediction, but they have a guy like Jordan Lawler. They have pitching like Ryan Nelson. I think Drew Jones is being a slept-on prospect right now. Maybe a Drew Jones. Maybe Yilbert Diaz, who throws 100. Demetrio Crisante, Slade Caldwell, Adrian Del Castillo. Well, they don't really need another catcher. Ryan Walschmidt, Tommy Troy. Like, they have a bunch of prospects that I think maybe could get a trade done. And what's the one real problem that they've had with this team? Center field's been not really great for them. They need one more bat. Luis Robert can give them good defense along with an possible elite bat. Get him out of Chicago with the White Sox. I think Robert would do wonders for this Arizona Diamondbacks team. And they've been super aggressive. I don't think they stop. Okay, National League Central time. Let's start talking about the Chicago Cubs. My bold prediction for them is that the Cubs trade for Framber Valdez at the trade deadline. Again, you see, I'm very down on the Astros this year. I think they might stink it up. And if they do, Framber Valdez, who's a free agent at the end of the year, is going to be available. We've seen the Cubs match up with the Astros twice already this offseason. Ryan Presley and Kyle Tucker. Why not bring Framber Valdez in? There's clearly a good trade relationship there. They're able to come to a common ground, a common denominator, and the Cubs love left-handed pitching. Literally. Check all their pitchers. They're all lefty. Why not bring in another one? Bring in Framber Valdez. He could really help boost this rotation because, truthfully, there's not a lot of top-end talent there. Like, Imanaga and Justin Steele are very, very good. Framber Valdez is better. For the Cincinnati Reds, I'm about to go crazy here, but my bold prediction is not only that Elly De La Cruz wins the NL MVP, because I think that's not even that bold. I think Elly De La Cruz goes 40-80. That's right, 40 home runs, 80 stolen bases. He plays at one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in all of Major League Baseball in Cincinnati. The exit velos are crazy. If he just makes more contact this year, he is simply going to hit more home runs, and he hit about 25 home runs last year. I think he's going to smash that this year. I think 40 home runs are super in the realm of possibility. He's so damn good. And he stole 67 bases. He's going to break Acuna's record. He's going to go 40-80, becoming the first player to ever do that. That's my bold prediction. It's insane, but if there's anyone to do it, it's going to be Elly De La Cruz. For the Milwaukee Brewers, my bold predictions, actually, I think it might be cooking. I think the Brewers have 5 All-Stars this year in the All-Star game. Those All-Stars being Jackson Chourio, who's a stud, Christian Yelich, playing DH, I think is huge for him. I think he could be an All-Star player playing a DH. William Contreras, one of the best catchers in the game, if not the best catcher. I think he makes the All-Star team. Garrett Mitchell's my wild card. I think he's going to have a really good year. I love the underlying numbers on a guy like Garrett Mitchell. And I think Trevor McGill is just one of the more underrated relievers in Major League Baseball. I think he's a top 30 guy. I think he can make the All-Star team as one of the best relievers in baseball in the first half. Those last two, I think, are a bit of wild cards, but again, this is why it's a bold prediction. 5 All-Stars for the Brewers. For the St. Louis Cardinals, my bold prediction is that they're going to trade every player over the age of 30 by the trade deadline. Now, Sonny Gray is going to be the difficult one. He has a no-trade clause, and I guess Arenado only has a certain amount of teams he wants to go to, but I think everybody not named Wilson Contreras gets traded by the trade deadline by the St. Louis Cardinals. I think this team stinks. I think they're so bad. The organization has just got this weird funk around them right now, and it's a lot of losing, not a lot of winning. Chaim Bloom is waiting. He's waiting in the wings. He's creeping over John Mozeliak's shoulder. When given the opportunity, Mozeliak's gone, Chaim Bloom's in, and he's going to start making crazy trades. I mean, he's done it before. I think he'll do it again. And for the last team in the National League Central, the Pittsburgh Pirates, my bold prediction is they compete for the NL Central title. If this front office ever decides to push the chips all in, or even just in a little bit more, maybe get aggressive with a flop bet, the Pirates can really make some noise. Their first 3 pitchers with Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller, are really, really, really good. And when Bubba Chandler comes up, and when some of their other pitching prospects like a Thomas Harrington or a Braxton Ashcraft come up, they have 5 legitimate, very good starting pitchers. They just need more offense with O'Neal Cruz, who's going to break out this year. Endy Rodriguez has been swinging the bat really well. Brian Reynolds, and just a little bit more help on the offensive side could make this team a serious contender in the NL Central. So Ben Cherington, please help the Pirates fans out. Give them something to care about, please. You're wasting it. You're wasting it. For the final division in Major League Baseball, we've got the National League East. I'll get to start off with the Marlins. I'm saving my Mets for last. My bold prediction for the Marlins is going to be that Sandy Alcantara gets traded before the month of June. I think if Sandy has 2 good starts, you're going to see him traded in the month of April. I think there is no incentive for the Marlins to hold on to this guy any longer than they already have. You just want to see him in game a couple times, show that he still got it, show that he still throws 100, he can shove, he can go 8, 7, 9 innings, whatever it is. I don't like how I said that, but he can go long into games. He's got the velo. He's still effective, and they will trade him as soon as they physically can. His value is only going to go up, but there's going to be a point where it can't go any higher. And a team getting Sandy Alcantara for the entire season, basically, especially if they get him before the month of May, before the month of June, immense value. And the Marlins are just absolutely terrible this year. They're not going anywhere. If they have anybody of value, they're going to move him, and that includes Sandy. For the Washington Nationals, my bold prediction is going to be that James Wood finishes in the top 5 of MVP voting this year. Now, he's going to need to clean up the defensive game. Defensively, he was horrible last year, but he's a really talented athlete. He's obviously got insane insane power potential at the plate, and we saw that he's a really good player in the small sample we saw last year. In 79 games last year, 9 homers, 13 doubles, 4 triples, 41 RBIs with 14 stolen bases, hitting .264 with a .354 on base, .427 slugging, and .781 OPS for an OPS plus at 122. Again, he's 22 years old. This does feel quite bold because there's definitely a chance for a little bit of regression in James Wood's game. That feels so weird to say because his name's James Wood, but I had to add an S because we're making it possessive of his game. Felt weird to say. I'm going to move on. People will adjust, but I think he's good enough to beat those adjustments, and I really do think that there's a chance he finishes in the top 5 of MVP voting. A full season in Washington, why can't he hit like 30, 35 home runs? The power is so good. I just might be a year early, truthfully, which is what makes it bold. For the Philadelphia Phillies, I say it in my predictions. I think they're going to do something crazy this year. I think they have to make a massive, massive trade, and I think that trade might end up being for Mike Trout. We know Mike Trout is a Philly guy. Despite being born in New Jersey, he's from the part of Jersey we don't like to acknowledge. That's South Jersey, which is basically Philadelphia. And we know my opinions on the people of Philadelphia and the city. But in a bold prediction video, why not? I'm going to do it until it actually happens. Mike Trout will be a Philadelphia Philly at some point. They've got the money. They've got the prospects. The Angels are going nowhere with Mike Trout. And at some point, Mike Trout has to care about winning, right? He can't just be content being in LA, in Anaheim for the rest of his life. They're never going to win with him. Please, Mike Trout, allow yourself to be traded. Ask for a trade. I hope it's not to the Phillies. I beg it's not to the Phillies. I don't want to root against him and Bryce Harper, but I think there's definitely a world where the Phillies go out and get unreal aggressive and make a move for Mike Trout. Probably won't happen, but you could also see it definitely happening. For the Atlanta Braves, my bold prediction is that Spencer Schwellenbach finishes in the top 5 of Cy Young voting this season. Shout out to me, was all over Spencer Schwellenbach back in the 2021 MLB draft. It was one of my favorite draft picks outside of the first round. And what do you know? Last year he made his debut in 21 games, 123 innings, a 3.35 ERA, a whip right around 1 at 1.043. He struck out 127 batters, walking only 23. That's a K rate of 25.4%, a walk rate of 4.6. The stuff is electric. He throws like 4 or 5 different pitches. If you've watched Spencer Schwellenbach pitch, you know that this guy is a legit frontline starter. And in a rotation that has Chris Sale and eventually Spencer Strider back, he gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, but he is going to be possibly maybe the best guy in that rotation this season. Top 5 in Cy Young vote. And then last, but definitely not least, my New York Mets. My bold prediction is going to be that David Peterson leads the National League in wins this year. I saved the craziest for last, right? I mean, we know David Peterson is by far not one of the top 50, maybe even 75 best pitchers in Major League Baseball. But I'm going to give you some stats that make you think, okay, I could drink that crazy Kool-Aid that Mark has and start to think that maybe David Peterson wins a ton of games this year. First off, last year, he appeared in 21 games, made 21 starts, won 10 games. He was 10-3 for the Mets. You put that over 35 games, you're looking at like 16, maybe 17 wins over a full season for a guy like David Peterson. That's already towards the top of the National League. And I can't believe I'm talking about wins on my channel because we know this is a completely just nonsense stat and it does not matter. But last year, in those 21 starts that David Peterson made, the Mets were 15-6. The Mets just won games that David Peterson starts. I can't explain why. I don't know why. I mean, towards the end of the year, he was going 7-6 innings a lot of the time. And if you can go 7-6 innings on a consistent basis, you are giving yourself a chance to get some wins. The Mets offense is a lot better this year, adding Juan Soto. They're going to score a ton of runs. The bullpen's better. They're going to close out games a lot easier than they did. What if David Peterson leads the National League in wins? It's bold. It's crazy. But you can see the path to it happening. The Mets are also just going to need a ton of innings from him, and I think he's going to be that guy this year. So there they are, my bold predictions for the 2025 season for every single team in Major League Baseball. I'd love to know what you're thinking down in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What are your bold takes? Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in the description, and that's where I'll wrap it up. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next video.